Back on one
Yes,
accord.
yes.
Well, Robert Earl Dean, we got a great interview with us
Yes, we do
today,
this
man.
morning. Yes,
Because
sir.
this is one of my favorite songs. You know what I'm saying? We've been having a good time with this song,
Oh,
haven't
yes, we
we? Yeah,
have.
yeah. Who we got with us today, my friend?
Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman is no stranger to the gospel music community. He and his group have been singing and blessing people for years, and we're so excited that they're back with a banging single. Ladies and gentlemen, you will know who he is in the 37 countries that watch and listen, Mr. James Grear. Welcome to the Wake Up Morning Show with Dr. LT and Robert Earl Dean.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bishop Greer,
Man,
how you doing this morning?
I am blessed. I'm blessed with no complaints. How about you?
Man, I don't even want to start with the song because if I start with the song, we're gonna just go in. But I love everything from the cover to the music to the rendition.
Wow.
I think it is
Wow.
gonna be one of those top 10 songs,
hmm
and it
Wow.
needs to be added to everybody's playlist. Choirs need to sing it, and
hmm
all of the above.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you. I receive it too. I receive all that.
My
Amen.
my question is, where have you all been? It's been a while since we've had some of that good music.
It's been a long time, and that's the question I'm getting a lot right now. It's been 13 years. This is the first release in 13 years,
Wow.
and it was pretty much due to the fact that honestly, I was raising kids.
Right.
I was raising my family, and we were recording, and we had a deal that we had on the table that didn't work out so well. We did a whole album, finished it, mixed, master, turned it in, and it was never released. We had some issues there contractually,
hmm
and it just got to the point that my kids started getting to those teenage
Oh yeah,
years,
important years.
and we were out at some point on the road, and I got called back in for some emergencies. I was like, you know what? It's time for me just to focus on home right now. But I promise you, I didn't make for that much time to go by. But I had to take responsibility and be there for my first priority. My first ministry, as I say, is home. And God blessed, and they all grown and gone now. And here we are back again with some music, and I'm super excited about it.
Well,
Yes.
and I thank you for sharing that with us because I heard a whole different story while you had been gone
You
for
always
for
hearing
for
Uh-oh.
rumors.
for, for
Uh-oh.
13
Uh-oh.
years.
You always hearing rumors.
I heard that you said until my locks touch my shoulders, I am not gonna drop another album or CD until my locks grow down to my shoulders. And and
Oh,
and and,
Jesus.
and so they there now. So I figured that's why we got this new music.
Oh Jesus. Lord have mercy on us.
that that'd been a pretty good reason too. That'd been a pretty good one too. But actually, we cut these locks not that long ago.
Okay. So let me ask you this question.
Hmm.
You've taken like a 13-year hiatus to, do family and that's a real commitment because
That's
a
real
lot of
ministry.
time some people, and that's your first ministry, but
hmm
a lot of times people will bypass and say, well, they'll get over it, they appreciate the finances and everything else, and they miss out on pertinent years, and
Yes.
then they wonder why
Yeah.
they're not close to their
A
family.
disconnect.
Let's just talk about how you kept your music and ministry and fire alive during the 13 years of being obedient to what God had called you to do.
Absolutely, and it would go back to the beginning and the building of the group. When we first started, we weren't recording, we weren't doing it. We were together 12 or 13 years before we even got you know the opportunity to record, and so we were solid as far as rehearsing and being together and singing around, of course, at, different functions around in our area. Little traveling, we were blessed to be on Bobby Jones and stuff like that before we even came on the scene,
hmm
but the commitment was already there to what we do. It wasn't just about industry things or being, having music out and traveling. It was the foundation was there. We were built as almost as a family entity. The group members are so close. We've all been friends for many years. So us not having music out did not determine what the status of the group. And nobody, we still have pretty much the same people that we had all those years. We would still have rehearsals. We would still sing. Sometimes we were called out. We did dates. We were still doing a little traveling here and there,
hmm
but it just wasn't the demand just wasn't there because like I said, I had to be home. Those
Right.
those boys needed me. They were like they was getting into those teen years.
Right.
I called the age 17 the age of turnaround because in my experience 17 was just like, oh Lord. Every time somebody's turning 17, it's like, here
Right.
we go, 17. And I had to be there for that transition
Right.
from teen to going into young adulthood, because when they get 18, they think they know everything. They think they got the world on lock.
Right.
And I had to be there because those were formative years. Those were important years, and those years would determine how they go into adulthood. And it was my responsibility as dad to be there with my boys.
So do you have all boys or do you have boys and girls?
I have all boys.
Wow,
And that's very
All
important,
boys.
especially African American young men. We both work in the school systems of San Diego Unified School District, and we come across so
Mm,
many young men and women who don't have a solid foundation at home, and then the parent want us to parent the kid at school, and our job is to
mm-hmm.
help educate and be
To educate,
and that's it,
absolutely.
and not to raise somebody else's child. So that's a
And you
blessing
end
that
up
you did
having
that.
to do all that extra stuff because I worked in the school system for a little while too. And sometimes you end up almost being parent just
Yes,
because of what they're missing
yes.
at home and they're looking for it. And they're so desperate for that love, for that
Come
attention, and
on.
to be heard and all that. And sometimes you end up doing that anyway.
Yes.
But like I said, my responsibility was there. And as the fact is, I was also a single dad. I was raising my boys by myself, and I had, of course, family members that were willing to kick in and be there. Sometimes we're on the road, but it's just not the same as your parent being there.
Right.
Some things are just for parents to be doing and not relatives and not friends.
That's true.
So things are your responsibility. Need to be there. That parent need to be there. And I'm thankful. You said it earlier. I'm thankful because now I'm blessed with a great relationship with my boys. They're grown, and that's what I talk about. You talk about checking on me and making sure that is okay and
Right.
wanting to come by. You're cooking all this. No, I'm not cooking all them years, not cooking.
Right.
But you can definitely come by and
Right.
see me.
Right.
But I'm blessed with a wonderful relationship with my boys.
Yeah. Come on by when you come on by. Stop by Bojangles and get me a 2-piece.
Oh, Popeyes. Popeyes. That's ours.
How about you come cook? How
Yeah,
Right.
about you come over here and cook for dad? How about that?
yeah.
Now, James, how did you even start your group? Many people may not have heard about your group, but they are some singing people. I know some of them personally. How did you guys start? How did you form James Greer and Company?
Sure. That's a very interesting story there because I'm originally born and raised in Gary, Indiana, and I had of course raised up in church singing
Did
all
you
my
know
life.
Michael Jackson?
I didn't.
That's the
You,
famous
you,
question.
you know if you
That's the
say Gary,
famous question.
Cass will say,
Yes.
"Did you know Michael Jackson?"
Right.
That's the famous question.
Yeah.
He's a little older. My older brothers knew some of the other boys. We lived like across the train track, so my dad knew the parents,
Right.
and some of my older brothers knew some of the other boys. They went to school together, but I didn't. I
Right.
didn't. I was younger. I didn't get to know them. By
Right.
the time we got older, they had moved to another side of Gary.
Right.
But the group started. So I had a group in Indiana for about maybe 7, 8 years, and then I moved to Minnesota, kind of trying to get away from all the honest truth is I came to Minnesota to get away from all the church stuff. I was raised in church, the old-fashioned, old school holiness where we went to church Sunday morning, Sunday
Mm-hmm.
evening,
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday night, Friday night,
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night, young people, blah blah blah, and singing all my life and all that stuff. And I was just discouraged with it, and I just wanted to get away. I came to Minnesota to get away from all that, and of course there were people here that Billy Steele, and they had moved here before me. And Billy Steele knew me. He used to play for my group. We were kids in Gary. And so when I moved here, I tell people, oh yeah, he's a choir director. You should have him come teach the state choir song. So he kind of started pulling me into that thing. And there was a church that asked me to put together some singers and just put together a musical to raise funds for their building fund.
Mm-hmm.
They said, you just put together a musical for me first just to raise money and get a group to sing and put together some singers. So I put together some singers for this one-time event. And we got there and we sang, and people were, the experience was already there for teaching and
Mm-hmm.
getting the sound. So that's what we did. And they started, raving about this group, and people started asking, could we sing places? I was like, well, no, this is not a group. We're not an established group. This was for one event. And they kept calling for this one event they would have would be the big musical of the year here. They asked us to sing on that. So I agreed. I thought, okay, we'll do this and we'll be done. So there was no name for the group. So the young man they were calling to book us to sing, they asked us, well, what's the name of the group to put on the program? And he said, the name of the group is James Grear and Company.
Wow.
And then he called me saying, I have something to tell you. You're going to be upset with me, but I was too embarrassed to say we didn't have a name. So I told them James Grear and Company, and that was the birth of the group.
Wow. It sounds similar to Donald Taylor and L.A. Mass because he put L.A. Mass together for an event, and it did so well that he was offered a deal, and the rest is history. LA Mass became LA Mass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got a question. I ain't trying to be up in your business or anything
You
else
not?
that nature,
Hmm.
but I am because I'm looking in your back seat. Who left their cup and didn't take their cup with them when they left?
My grandbaby,
Okay.
my grandbaby, little Mr. Dr. James Grear is
Okay.
his name. So he gets a little special privileges because he's a grandbaby, and then he's also, he got my name, so he get to do little things the other ones don't quite get to do.
Now let's talk
Everybody know
about
don't be leaving stuff up in my car. Don't be coming up here making no mess in my car. But he gets away with a little bit more than the average.
now. What are some? Let's talk about some of the highlights thus far in your career. What are some of the things you would consider as highlights throughout the years? Because I remember you guys being on Bobby Jones. I believe you came to Anaheim, California, when he did the live taping in
We did.
L.A. Because Eddie Balchup and the
We
Voices of a Filming from San Diego were on the same bill. That's why I remember you guys from.
yes, we absolutely did. I would say some of the highlights I always dreamed of as a kid growing up and watching gospel, listening to gospel music. Think about it. I was in Gary, so all the Chicago radio is what we heard all
Oh
day, every
yes,
day. And my dream was to one day be able to go to the Stellar Wars, and I wanted to go to Europe. And I told my best friend, who we were best friends as young, I would say maybe not late, no, 19, 20. She sang with me then, to this day, still sings with me now.
wow,
Okay.
And
Oh, you said when you were 19 or 20, not in 1920.
no, but not in 1920. I was
Oh,
19 or
okay.
20,
Okay.
right?
right, right,
I'm up there, but not quite there.
right.
But so my dream was the Stellar Wars in Europe. I said if I ever go to Europe, I'm going to kiss the ground when I land in Europe. And sure enough, that first album that came out, we were nominated for several Stellars, and we got to have that experience. And God opened the door. We went to Europe twice in the 1 year,
Wow.
and those were highlights for me because those were just dreams from
Yeah.
a kid
Yeah.
to be at the Stellar Awards and to be in Europe. So those were two highlights. Of course, all the great stuff, being on Bobby Jones numerous times, all that great stuff. And
Yes.
my first, Richard Smallwood was like God of music to me
Oh yeah.
when he first came out with the Smallwood Singers.
Hmm.
I was just blown away with that. I was just listening to them all day. Them, the Hawkins family,
Yes.
Thomas Whitfield. That's what I listened to just all day.
Right.
And my first professional gig when my first album came out was to go open up for Richard Smallwood in St. Louis, Missouri.
Wow.
So that was a huge highlight. That's when I met Marette. That was a huge highlight for me.
So
Wow.
let me ask you this question.
Look at God.
Because when you went over to Europe, did you kiss the ground? Did you put something under it, or did you kiss the real ground, or
I
did you
kissed the
spray it
real ground.
and wash it up
I
right quick?
I did not. I got down there because my best friend, she said, "Remember what you said? You've been saying since we were kids." I was like, "Oh my God!" So I got down there and I literally kissed the ground.
It's
I
like-
did it. Exactly.
But that's how the NBA players do when they win the championship. They kiss the hardwood.
Well, okay, praise the Lord.
Yes.
But anyway, I'd have had to blow a kiss. I don't know where their feet been.
No, but he's a man of his word, so he said he would kiss the
I
ground.
did it.
Yeah, I ain't mad at
Right.
him.
Right. So who is the young lady that let There's Power in His Name? You guys,
That is Angela Stewart.
where is
That's
she?
you heard me speak of my best friend of all these years. That's her sister, which they're now my second family, so I call her my baby sister.
Right.
That's Angela Stewart. She was right there on that stage 2 weeks ago. We had a live recording, and she has a song coming on a new project. They are still with me to this day since we were young. Like I say, in our 20s, running around, little kids running around singing everywhere.
Yeah, that's
She's
a
still
singing.
here.
That's a singing machine, and
She-
and people may not know, but Ann Nesby's daughter sings with you or has sung with you.
Yep, that's my little sister Jamesia. Yeah, she's been with us. She's officially the lead singer for the Sounds of Blackness
Yes.
now.
Wow.
And Jamesia is, and they're busy doing a lot. But the funny thing is, like, she still is. She's one of those people who will, like Roosevelt. She will always be an honorary member of the company. And anytime we're doing something on a scale, she's going to be there. She's going to sing. She's involved.
Yes.
The relationship is still very much. We talk all the time. That's my little baby sister. Yep.
So let me ask you a question. If where are you at in the country now? Where you reside now?
I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Minneapolis area, Minnesota.
Prince
AKA
Town.
Yeah.
also Arizona, also Gilbert, Arizona. I kind of have two boys in Arizona, and so that's my excuse to be there all the time. When it gets cold here, I'm out of here a lot. And I'm in
Arizona?
hanging out.
Well,
Arizona.
We're next door to Arizona. Ugh,
Yeah.
Arizona.
So praise the Lord. I want to know how do somebody become a part of the company?
How they become a part of the company?
Yeah.
Woo,
Me,
yikes!
me.
That's a big one.
Not me, not me, me. No, he's not talking about you.
Ooh.
No, he's not talking about you.
No, I'm just trying to figure
Well,
out how they become a part of the company.
well, the company is usually not always open. We are a group and not a choir. We're a small group, and we kind of maintain the same people for many, many
Right,
years. So it's very seldom that we actually open the doors to the church
right.
for the company.
Well, I want you to know if you ever open the doors to the church,
That what?
there is a special anointing in the shh.
He's a shisher.
You gonna need somebody one day just to be in the crowd, be in the company, shh. And there's anointing in the shh. You know,
No,
they don't.
it was
I
anointed with
got you.
James Cleveland.
I got you.
It
No,
was anointed with James Cleveland.
wait.
The mantle was not passed.
Shh, shh.
Praise
You
Oh
God.
see how that work
goodness.
with you?
No, it didn't work. I'm just kidding.
So let me. This is a question I always ask everybody.
Right.
What is the most favorite place you've ever ministered at, and the place that you, if you don't ever get invited back, you wouldn't be disappointed?
Ooh,
Ooh.
ooh, yikes. Let me think. I would say the favorite place. Ooh, that's hard because there's been so many great places over the years. Um, I'm going to say probably one of the greatest experiences was when we went to Europe. We were at the Umbria Jazz Festival, and literally, for the first time in my life, I literally experienced singing to a crowd that people were as far as you could literally see,
Wow.
like, and from every angle, everywhere you look to it was just people. They were on top of buildings. They were just everywhere, and the crowd just there were people that were standing in front of the stage all the way back to look like just like they like were ants. They were just you just could not, and like trying to name the number of people was just almost impossible. All we could say was like, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000, who knows? It was just people everywhere,
Wow.
and
So
the
so I want to ask: is it true that you felt a Michael Jackson moment and you did the whole shaking of the leg and went hee hee because there was so many people?
I will say you feel that moment with the crowd like that. You kind of feel that experience a little bit.
Right,
Then
right,
of course reality hits when you get back home.
right,
But
right.
but it was, and then the reception, the way they received us. I mean, the way they love gospel music, the way they appreciate it, and the way they support it, and just that was just an amazing, amazing experience for us. And least favorite. Ooh, yikes. That's a rough one. I have to think about that one for a minute. The
Willacoochee,
least
Georgia.
favorite. I can't off top. Let me think. What was the least favorite experience? Okay, well, okay, here's one. And it wasn't least favorite have anything to do with the artist or where we were, but we were in Florida one time for a big festival, and it went over the guest the guest artist was Shirley Caesar, and then a lot of rest of us were on there to open up. And the hour got late, and I guess Shirley was tired of waiting because she'd been back there forever, and they just had everybody, a million people on there. So she demanded to come out and do her set. And she came out early, did her set, and we had to go on stage right behind Shirley Caesar.
Wow.
Who in the world in their right mind wants to go on the stage behind Shirley Caesar,
Right,
who was the headliner for the show?
right.
That was probably the scariest moment of my life.
Now, is it true that you got on stage and said, "Hold my mule"?
Not quite. I want maybe some other things, but
Right, right.
I was so I was so terrified. I'm like, what are you gonna do? I mean, the whole place was completely erupted in an uproar, and we're coming behind Shirley Caesar to do what?
Mhm.
So that was probably one of my least favorite moments. Probably the most nervous I've ever been to walk on a stage. Yeah.
But you guys can sing. And one thing about singers that are anointed to sing, you just flow in the anointing. So what was said, you just do what you do and you let God flow you right on in. So I'm sure you guys hit a home run because I know y'all.
We learned from that experience. One thing we learned that was really valuable is to, no matter what you do, always be yourself and just do what you do. Bring
Mhm.
what you bring to the table. That's all you can do. God gave you what He's giving you, and you bring what you bring to the table. And whoever God chooses to bless with that is who He
Mhm.
would choose to bless. It was a great experience for us. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. And then the other great side of it was she heard us sing and she sent the compliment out. and told them, she said, "You tell them they can sing." I enjoyed them. I was like, okay, that was
Yes.
that was
Oh
encouraging.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And one of the things I love about it is that opportunity. Just like MC Hammer, he went on tour as the opening act, and by the time the tour was over,
He was
he
the
was the
He was the
headliner.
headliner
headliner.
because he said, "I'm gonna
Exactly.
make it hard for somebody to follow me."
Right.
They
You
come
know,
back. I
so
know that's
Right.
right.
And James
That's how
Cleveland
you do it.
James Cleveland always said and gave advice to artists that when you're going to a venue, you watch it and watch how the movement of God is. Because when people
Absolutely.
would do upbeat stuff, if you notice James Cleveland, he would come back with something slow to draw the
There you
people in
go.
to his
shh.
There
audience.
you go. Yeah.
And vice versa.
That
That's
anointing of
right.
the
So
That's
shush.
right.
that's one thing I've learned as an artist myself is when you go to things, you just do what you do and follow the spirit because the spirit will never lead you wrong.
Exactly. And wherever you are, you have something to deposit as well as anybody else. You're there for a reason. And you're on assignment. That's why you bring what you bring and let others bring what they bring. But when you walk, like you said, you have to understand the flow and be able to walk into that flow, but you go there with what you do, not trying to come anywhere near what someone else has done, but you
Come on.
bring what it is that God has given you to bring to the table.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Come on.
So it appears that you have a little fashion stylistic stuff in your life with your Black Lives for Peace. Um, Tell me, because like a lot of artists have signature looks. I see the glasses. I see this. What is part of your signature look?
I would probably say if there's anything. Now, this is funny because you guys caught me on a day where, okay, so the truth of the funny stuff, part of the story, I got to take my nephew to work today, and I didn't remember this was a Zoom interview, so I wasn't necessarily prepared for that part of it.
You are
Thank the Lord
prepared.
I didn't.
You're prepared.
Thank the Lord thank the Lord I didn't do the bathrobe ministry, nothing like that some people do sometimes. But I would say, I don't know. I would say, if anything, maybe I'm into glasses a lot. So I
Hmm.
would say maybe glasses. If anything, I'm definitely into glasses. I love glasses. Of course, and then of course, we're at that age now that we also need glasses.
Right.
But so we take that and just try to make it a little bit faster. But I'll say, if anything, I would be glad. And I'm always very casually dressed. Like if I can walk on any stage, in every stage with jeans and something comfortable, that's what I would do every day. That's what we just recorded, and the whole group had on denim and whatever we did with denim.
Right.
I love being comfortable. I do. I just sometimes we would do events. We would be so overdressed that we could barely focus on singing.
Right.
So I learned that early on. Like just be comfortable
Right.
where you can do what you do. But I love being dressed casual. That's like my favorite thing ever. Casual dressing.
Well, I want to appreciate the nicety and the cleanliness of your car. I'm still trying to see if it's a Bentley
Well, stop
or
being
what
nosy.
because
That's
I'm just like it's so
that's
clean.
nosy
I just want
ministry.
to just touch the leather
That's
on it.
nosy ministry.
First of all, I'm just complimenting on him on his clean
Jesus.
leather car. Come on now, leave me alone.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm trying to get a
Thank
ride
you.
one day in the car.
What? But that I can do that. I know him, so you will get a ride.
Well,
Okay.
here's the thing. The Lord has blessed after raising 14 boys and going through this
Wait a
thing
minute,
with the
hold on,
car
wait a
and
minute.
the
How many boys?
14,
You had 14 boys.
14 boys.
Woo, fruitful and multiply. Well, praise the Lord.
Wait.
You got a football
so
team?
so yeah, oh yeah, 14. But my story is, and that maybe this is for another show, another time. But I fostered for 35 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have my family was made up of bio, foster, and adopted boys. And so that's what I was saying. That's why I had to be home because a lot of my boys, their backgrounds were so different and
Come
their
on.
experiences and their traumas were so different
Yes.
and to just require so much more time and attention.
Yes.
And I just could not be that next person to abandon them when they needed me most. So I couldn't justify being out on the road running around singing and they at home going through it, and needing that guidance and needing somebody to be there. So but I would say that the car days back in the day weren't as great as they are now. But now that I'm an empty nester, I enjoy all these perks of being able to keep a clean car, and
Right.
it's not there's a McDonald's cup there, but it's not one. I'm not stepping on one, or it's not
Yeah.
a piece of a burger in the seat next to me or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Now what you just
That's
shared
powerful,
is
James, man.
amazing. That you took out and you became a foster. So you have foster and adopted and biological.
Hmm. Yes, sir.
That so many kids
And
need
yeah,
that. He's a counselor and works with kids, so we can identify. When you said it, chill bumps went through my body because there's so many kids who just need somebody to support them, that just need somebody to
Absolutely.
love them and let them know that you can make it, that you're not a mistake. No matter what your parents did, it wasn't
Absolutely.
your fault.
It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. You don't, and it's unfortunate because as much as we can tell them and repeat that and try to instill that, their trauma, their experiences,
Yes,
and it's like only thing you can do is try to help them to pick up and go on from
from that
there.
point.
Because as you know, some of what these kids have experienced is just unbelievable. It's not something that we just normally can't imagine their traumas and what they've endured in their
Yes,
little short
yes,
lifespans, and it's just heartbreaking. Sometimes we'd be at the dinner table and we'd be eating, and the boys had become so comfortable. They're such a family still out to this day. And something, you think that all that, you have all the information, what's happened.
hmm
And at the dinner table, something just would pop out. Oh yeah, one day, blah blah blah. And mom, we were eating and this happened, and we're on at the table just stuck for like, wait, did you just say?
right,
Yeah, like it would be something so significant,
right,
so huge, and it just come out. And they've been in this house 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you think, so none of the social workers would be something that nobody knew,
right.
and so significant. These are life-changing moments,
Yes,
traumatizing moments that most people couldn't even survive,
yeah,
and these kids have endured so much stuff of this, from their lifetime, and I'm just looking at how strong and how amazing they are that they're, able to just verbalize it in that
Jesus,
setting at the table with, with all of us sitting there eating dinner.
Jesus.
But their lives, yeah, it just, it's just horrific to know something that they've gone through. But at the same time, it's a blessing to look at them now.
Mm,
And despite what changes some of them had to go through, what process they had to go through,
hmm
to watch everybody getting through it and becoming young adults responsible. Most of them are fathers now. And to watch them being, I don't have not one deadbeat dad, son at all,
Come
not
on,
one.
come on.
And that blesses me so much to see them love
Yes,
and be involved in the church and make sure history does not repeat itself. That was my thing
yes,
when they were growing up. You got to be breaking this now. Your kids will not go through this system. You will be a responsible father. If you make babies, you're going to take care of babies. You're going to be there. You're going to be with your children.
right.
And I watch my boys do that, and it just blesses my life. It
Break the
does.
curses. Break the
So I
curses.
want to ask this question because I'm interested in what is your background educationally that prepared you to foster boys.
Good question. None, zero.
Okay.
A calling that God placed on my life. When I was in the 8th grade and they had us to do a report what we wanted to do when we grew up, I wrote I wanted to have a gospel choir and go around singing. I wanted to have the biggest house and take in all the kids that nobody want.
Wow.
And I was in the 8th grade.
Wow.
And in 2005 or 6, when Ebony did a story on me and my kids, my 8th grade teacher contacted me and still had that report that I did when I was in the 8th grade. Um, so it was just what God planned for my life. My mom was a foster parent.
See.
Um,
Okay.
hmm
and she in her latter years, and she took in kids, and she was, woo, when I tell that woman was amazing. My little bitty 5'3" mom weighed about maybe 135, soaking wet, soft spoken, missionary, loved the Lord. I would watch her have kids in her home. And of course, a lot of parents were drug addicted. I would
Yes.
watch my mom go find them on the street and make them go to church and sit by their kids in church. She would say to them, "These are your babies. They need you, and you're coming to church Sunday." I'm looking like, "Mom, what make you go out there and walk on the street?" She said, "Because I'm not afraid of what God called me to do." And I watched her, and a lot of those kids end up. My mom passed away. Oh my God! If I had time to give you the testimonies that came my way that I didn't even know,
Jesus.
and the way she impacted those children's lives and the families that were back together because she would not let
Jesus.
go and she would not give up. And so when she had a stroke and could no longer do foster care, they started coming to me saying, "Well, the kids are asking for you." I'm like, "Me? I was," so I'm like, "I'm already a single dad raising my son." It's like, "No, Mr. Greer, like, you really have something. We really want to license you." And a long story short, they ended up licensing me. I was so afraid. It took me so long to finally take some children, but they finally brought some kids to my home. Like, we're on our way. We're dropping off a sibling set of 3. They've been kicked out of every home every weekend, and we need to bring them there. Those kids came to my home. They settled. They stayed. The school started writing letters about how great they were doing, asking what was going on. And from that point, I got slated as taking difficult kids that they could not place anywhere in the state.
Wow.
And
Ministry.
that was that's what I did for 35 years from
Ministry.
there.
That's ministry.
So my
Yeah,
last
yes, sir.
question before we get to your
hmm
music and how people can catch contact with you. Um, you done had all these children come to the house, and so you was daddy, you was leader, but you was also the cook. So tell me,
Yes, sir.
what was the best meal that anytime you cooked a meal, there was peace at the table?
Oh, I would say, because my kids, they love some soul food. I would say what really gave them peace was a good pot of greens, macaroni and cheese, and they love some fried chicken. That's when you want to hear peace, or either they love some other chicken. So if you want peace and quiet, you want the house to be quiet, give them a big boomer like that, and the house is quiet. And everybody after that, they falling asleep.
Wow. Now, 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 my last question is: if I gave you $3 million and said I want the James Greer Presents concert, the artist could be dead or alive. Who would be on the
Ooh,
bill?
Jesus. Whitney Houston. Oh, let's start there. My favorite.
Shh.
Oh, oh.
Not you. Praise God. Back to you.
Oh, that's such a good question. Whitney Houston, we would start there. That's just my all-time favorite vocalist.
Yes.
Michael Jackson, the best entertainer there ever was. I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
entertainment wise.
Yeah.
Um, and then we would come on over to if we just talk about singers that I love, I am a Kim Burrell fanatic.
Yes.
When she opens her mouth, it's just something magical that God does. Leandria Johnson, I
Yes.
tell people that there's people on her throat pushing buttons when she opens her mouth
Yes.
because it's just unbelievable.
Yes.
Then I could go on because there's so many people like that I I like country music. I like you know what I'm saying. I
Me
like so
too.
many different kinds of music.
Yes.
Um, I like there's some you know I don't want the Saints not to like me, but sometimes there's a few little hip hop artists that you
Uh,
know they
of
got
course,
some
we
decent
all love it.
messages. Yeah. So I would kind of start there, and maybe I should leave it alone at that point.
Right. Right.
You know, my friend, and I'm gonna call you my friend because I feel
Yes,
that
sir.
your testimony has just
It's
really
man.
blessed
It's
a lot of
powerful.
people. A lot of people are tapping in
Jesus.
and saying things
Oh,
of that nature.
amen.
I think there's more to the story. We need to do this again, um,
Absolutely.
because not only do you have the gift of music and everything else, but it seems that everything is centered around love, and you took a
Yes,
position
sir.
of love to help other people, and
My
Yes,
God.
that
sir.
blesses us
My God.
because not a lot of people have the heart, the love, or the patience,
Yes.
or the desire
Mm,
to sow into someone else. And so you pull back
amen.
on what you were doing
Yes.
to do what God told you to do, and now God is
Amen.
elevating you right back to where you were already at. So with that being
Oof.
said, people want to
Mm.
know how they can connect with you, and then we want you to introduce this song that we've been rocking.
Okay, I'm
How
about
did
to
the
have to take
song?
off these glasses because you about got me in tears right now because woo, we can talk about that another time because when you obey God, you can't beat him opening doors because I never thought I'd be back in this space again with
Right.
music and
Right.
God is amazing. So that's you got me over here crying under these glasses now, but there's so much testimony behind so much of that. You just said a whole mouthful.
Mhm.
But people can reach me. What's the question? Where can they reach me? Is that
Yes.
where I am now? They can reach me on social media. I'm very active on Facebook and it's simply James Greer. And Greer is spelled Grear. That's
Mm-hmm.
what most people think it's the double E's,
Right.
but it's Grear. On Facebook and on Instagram is James underscore Greer, Grear. And just FYI, the single came out today. It's out for sale today. Today
What?
is the release date for the single. Yep, that's why this interview is such a blessing
So
because
we've been
today,
playing it.
is, yep, today is the release date for the single. Yep, and
Yeah.
Look at God. We were the first to
look at
premiere it,
God.
and people have been
Ye-
responding like crazy. I had a friend, Robert Bryant from Arkansas, who's a singer, and he was asking
Okay.
how could they get it. So now I can tell them that they can go to all social digital music
Yes.
outlets
Yep.
today.
Yep.
And the
It
And
is
cool,
Thomas
out.
Rollins,
yeah.
was trying to find it.
And the cool thing,
Oh
because
wow.
we are a BDS reporting station, all of the spins that we've been doing ahead of time now will
Will
fall
fall in
into
on the
to this week.
chart wise.
You know,
Yes. Oh man. And believe me, we are seeing the results. That's why I'm telling you what you just said, how when you do what God has called you to do, how he'll open doors and bless you.
Come on.
I just didn't think, after being gone 13 years, you know how much everything has changed
Yes.
in
hmm
13 years.
Yes.
And to try to come back into an industry that's so
Fickle.
everybody's doing what they do. They're doing it they're doing it amazingly right now. And to come back in after all these years and to be embraced And for this song to be climbing the charts as quickly as it's climbing, I thought it would take a year to get radio to even pay me any attention after all these years. So I'm just full every week when I get the report of how it's doing on radio and everybody's ad. I mean, when I tell you, I'm just watching God fulfill his promise. That's all I can say. He is amazing. I just give him all of it. It's all him. I'll be a fool to try to take any of the credit. It's all God. I'm very thankful.
What made you want to record at this time after COVID, and how did you and Marette decide to do the song together?
The crazy thing is we've been recording for years, because remember I told you we had another whole deal that didn't work out. I probably got like two or three, 4 albums and stuff that was done, mixed. Did a live recording back in 2018. It's just so much to behind this story.
Right.
So when we started this time around with Carrie Douglas, I've been signed to Carrie now for probably almost 5 years.
Really?
And just they trying to get something out. I was just in a bad space that year, had lost my mom that year.
Right.
And 2 young men who were very closely connected to my boys had all died in 2015. So I had a very tough year. I just wasn't in a space where I could respond.
Right.
Trying to get a record. I just wasn't in that space at all.
Right.
And it came back around, and I just thought about people that I wanted on the project. And Marette was somebody I've always wanted to work with. I always admired her ministry and then her humility and just who she is.
I love her.
And I called her, and we started talking about it. I sent her a few songs, including that one. That was the one I was hoping that she would pick. And she called back saying, "Ooh, thank you. I'm kind of thinking," I said, "Okay, we're thinking alike."
Right.
And I'm telling you all, we went through like 3 or 4 different tracks trying to get that song, the vision that I had for that song. Mm-hmm. And finally that Darnell Davis put together that right track. And we listened to it. I said, "Marette, I think we got it. I think we're ready." And we just did we did the backgrounds for the 3rd time. And she came and laid that lead. And when I tell you, when she did it, it was magical. Like, wow. She walked in there prepared, and it's like when she opened her mouth, I knew clearly that song would fit her. That's just the gift I have, like to get the right people in the right place. Right. And when she opened her mouth, it was magical. I mean, she was prepared. It took her no time to finish it. And when we listened back, it was just like, wow, this came together so beautifully. So, Darnell? We've been recording for a while. Darnell, Darnell Davis?
Darnell Davis is a beast, and he's always on the West Coast with Michael Burrell.
Yes.
And Freddie
He produced that track. That's we just did a live video recording on the 21st of September, and we had Marette came down and did this song. I had Kim Burrell did the song that she's doing. I had Ernest Pugh on the song. I had Zacardi Cortez on the song. And so that project the video will be coming, I believe, maybe top of the year, and the album would be coming out top of the year. But we were just, God did it all. I'm saying the way did all. When we have to talk again, so I could just lay out to you guys how everything came together and how God did it. But it's undeniably God and a season that He's ordained, and I'm just so thankful to be walking in this space. I am.
Well, brother, we appreciate you. We appreciate your transparency. We appreciate you letting us have fun.
Yes.
With you this morning. Again. The song in itself became just one of my favorite songs. I play it, it just has that great feel. So you introduce it, and we're going to play it again for the folks, but the folks already know it.
Jesus.
Okay. Well, thank you again, guys, so much for your support. And this song is James Grear and Company featuring the amazing Marette Brown Clark. I want to say thank you.
Right here on GLD Radio 1.com.